Yay Networks.
Hey, y'all.
What up, though?
What's up? Welcome to This Is Life with Heather
And Cornelius.
and today we are talking about just being okay with failing
Yeah, being okay with failing.
and falling flat on your face. I feel like in the social media world, it's like almost like our accomplishment timeline. You know what I mean? And I feel like people are afraid to step out on faith. They're afraid to fail. So a lot of people just stay comfortable.
Right.
I just think back of like every time I've stepped out on faith and I was like willing to be embarrassed. You know what I mean? And willing to look crazy because I feel like God told me to do it.
Right.
And I feel like people really struggle with that. They're afraid to step out on faith. Maybe it's parents that are in their ear. Maybe it's peers. Maybe it's whatever.
Yeah.
But why do you think people struggle so much with just that fear of failure?
I think it's fear in general.
Yeah.
I think fear in and of itself is what God did not want us to have.
Yeah.
And anytime that we are afraid, we're always going to shrink back.
100%.
So people are afraid of the idea of, being embarrassed. They're afraid of being ashamed. They're afraid of losing something. It's just, it's all rooted in fear.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that, just them stepping out and doing something is going to take them. I mean, that's 100 times more steps than somebody else, because they're just not going to step out. They're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So, really recognizing, hey, I'm afraid, but God did not give me the spirit of fear. He didn't give me the spirit of timidity.
Yeah.
And he desires for me to walk in confidence and courage.
Yeah.
And he wants me to walk in faith. That's what that is. Faith is courage. He wants me to walk in courage and to be strong in him or to be courageous in him. Yeah. And when I step out and do it, I mean, hey, if I fall flat on my face, that's more than what other people have done.
Yeah.
I mean, in my life, I've learned a heck of a lot more from failure than I have success. Success taught me how to be prideful. Failure taught me humility.
That's real.
And so I love it when I see people like, oh, these are great things I've done. And I'm like, that's great, but they didn't taught you anything. Look at our son. He's played for a great football team for the past 2 years. They have gone undefeated for the past 2 years. He has played at SoFi Stadium those 2 years. He has won the championship those 2 years. He has a huge Super Bowl ring, two of them.
Yeah.
The issue is that he hasn't really learned football because all he knows is to win.
Yeah. What's interesting is remember at the Super Bowl game, we were actually down.
At halftime,
and all the boys were crying.
They were crying.
They were shook. They had never lost. They had never experienced defeat. And the thought of it just brought so much fear
into their minds. And they came together and it was like they had the whole stadium on their feet. It was incredible how they won
came
the
back
last
and
58 seconds.
It definitely developed some resilience in them in that moment.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I agree. I look back and it's like, God told me to move to New York City, right? And it didn't make sense. I remember one of my friends was like, oh, you got a job in New York? That's incredible. And I went to Michigan State and I was like, no, girl, I ain't got no job. Like, I'm just going by faith. Like, I'm just going to go and just see what God has there. Because I almost look at like stepping out on faith is like knocking on the door. And if I open it, then I'm going to experience a life that I didn't currently have. And I wanted to get to the other side of what God wanted me to do. And the thing is, I think we get excited about God leading us, but then what about like the journey there? The journey there sucks. Can I just like keep it real, y'all? It sucks. It's hard. It's not easy. Even in God telling us to move to LA, it's not been easy, right? But like we find joy in it. We find joy in our circumstance. But like back to New York City, like I got evicted and I was like and I moved in with my girlfriend and I lived on the floor and I just really learned to trust God with money. And I learned to be a giver and I learned to be really poor, but depend on him for like my daily bread. Like it was so hard and it was so tough, but I was like, you know what? What's my other option? Stay in Michigan my whole life. And, shout out to Michigan. It's beautiful, but I knew I wasn't called there. And I knew God was leading me out of there. So I think sometimes we feel like, oh, God's telling me to step out on faith. I'm going to go. But when I get there, it's going to be all rosy and perfect, and I'm never going to get tested.
Right.
I just feel like you're going to still go through the fire when you get to that place. But then you start to see the harvest once you stay planted long enough to see what God wants you to do there.
Oh, yeah.
It becomes beautiful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like New York City became beautiful. It became home. Like I'm so excited. We have a trip going back there. My husband knows I'm gonna book a New York flight every year. I'm like, babe, I'm getting that itch. Every time I go to New York, I get inspired. It's like my coach. It's like my mentor. Like the energy from the city is just so incredible because I was literally homeless there and ended up getting a job, and I did so much. I hosted TV down right there in Times Square at MTV. I worked down on Wall Street. I mean, I worked at Def Jam. I have so many incredible memories there, but now I can talk about it with a smile on my face. But when I was going through it, I was on that struggle bus. It's funny. My old boss came over for dinner the other night, and she was talking about my old boss from Def Jam. She was talking about my shoes I used to wear. And, they used to clack and make a noise because I had holes in them. The shoes were a disaster. And one day she came and gave me money to go get my shoe fixed. And I'm like thinking like, girl, I'm about to use this to go buy a shoe because these shoes have holes and this is my only one. And we laugh about it now, but I'm like, no, when I was in it, it was so hard. So can we like unglamorize like the journey? Because the journey is like a process and it stretches you like crazy and it's so hard.
Yeah.
But there's something on the other side, and that's why you can't be afraid to fail because you're going to screw up along the way. You're going to figure it out. And I remember this one thing God always told me. He said, if you miss me, I'll find you. Like if you miss me in this situation, if you miss me in this move, if you miss me concerning this thing, I will redirect you and I'll guide you to the place you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And he does it every time.
He does. I actually feel like success is more expensive than failure.
Yeah.
It's a lot more expensive than failure. I mean, I really have never had that problem of, being afraid of doing what God told me to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I dropped out of college, beginning of my sophomore year of college because like that's what God wanted me to do. Mm-hmm. I started working for a church. We started our own church. I remember being in Dubai doing ministerial work in Abu Dhabi, and God told me, He said, I want you to go to Ethiopia. And me not knowing how I was going to really pay for it, and then having one of our friends like, hey, I bought you a ticket. You're going to Ethiopia. I went to bed. I went to bed that night in Dubai, woke up the next morning and flew to Addis Ababa. And by myself, I had $100 US on me. I didn't know where I was going to stay, didn't know what I was going to eat, didn't know what I was going to do, but I just went.
Yeah. And
I remember staying there for, 5-6 days? And the Bible came alive to me. Was able to minister to people. I remember standing up and preaching in a barn.
That's crazy.
And people were sitting on haystacks, and people were sitting on wooden logs and stuff like that. And I just remember these times that I had, and the whole time I remember getting ready to get back on the plane, headed back to America, and the Lord he asked me. He said, "Did you lack anything?"
Come on.
I didn't lack a place to sleep. In fact, there was a family that took me in. And I stayed in their house, and they lived in a nice, big, beautiful home. I remember I had my own room, I had my own, and then they had a cook, they had all this stuff, and I sat down, I ate dinner at their table, and she was the one who introduced me to her pastor, and then her pastor had me preach at his church. It was amazing how it happened, but I didn't lack anything. I didn't lack a place to sleep. I didn't lack any food. I didn't lack anything.
Yeah.
And I just think that I look back and I think to myself, man, if I would not have went.
Yeah.
If I would not have went, then that orphanage that I had visited, would they have received the money?
Yeah.
If I didn't go, and I think that always hits me the hardest, because a lot of times we can sit back and we can be afraid of saying, "Man, I'm afraid to do blah."
Yeah.
But then you have to think to yourself and really ask yourself the question, who is on the other side of my obedience?
Yeah. And
then the other question is, who's on the other side of my disobedience? Because if I don't go, then no one gets help. It's like here in the Bible it says, God send me, I'll go. But I think many of us are like, oh God, maybe send me. I think I might go. And so I love what you said though. I love what you said about wherever you go, God's going to find you. So many people are afraid. I'm going to miss God. I'm going to miss God. I'm going to miss God. And it's like, It's like, come on, bro. You're not going to miss him.
Yeah. You're not going to miss him. He'll redirect you. He'll
He's gonna
guide you. He'll
redirect
close
you.
a door.
He'll do it.
He'll make it plain to you what you're supposed to do. It's interesting. I coach people with trading stocks, and I've been working with somebody, and she struggles with losses. She just hates losses. And then I realized, I'm like, what happened in your childhood? Like, there's something deeper going on in your life. Like, what happened? And I realized, she had a tough relationship with her father, and he was so hard on her, and there's nothing she could ever do right. So I feel like sometimes people struggle with the fear of failure and stepping out on faith, because it's like that little ear, that little voice, that inner me, that little me that's unhealed, that's just like, I can't fail because daddy will be right, that I'm not enough and I'll never be enough. So like sometimes I feel like people struggling with stepping out on faith or losing or failing, they're just like, no, I can't, because I don't want that to be true about me. So even in working with her, I'm like, we got to go back and heal little me. We have to go back and speak to little me and be like, you're safe. You're okay. Let's release dad. He did the best that he knew how to do.
Right.
And, it's time to heal, right? Because how long are you going to go living in fear, living in worry, living in afraid to step out on faith? When people are journaling their trades, they're just like, they're so excited about, journaling their wins. But I'm like, it's those losses that you're going to actually lose from, or you're going to gain the most from.
Right.
Because you'll figure out your blind spots. You'll
Right.
figure out what you're doing wrong. So that's why we can't be afraid to fail, because it's almost like losses in our life or failures, lost friendships, lost jobs, lost marriages. They teach us who we really are. It develops character in us. It develops endurance in us. It shows us our true colors.
Right.
And it's almost like it's beauty in it. You know what I mean?
Right. It's pressure and it's pain.
Yeah.
But we learn so
it's
much
real.
from it. And I really understand that concept, especially from working out.
Mm-hmm.
I experience pain every single day. And it is not easy.
I don't know why this man be in there trying to kill himself in the
Hey, you
gym.
know what? I mean, I'm training for a competition right now, so we have the choice. But it's like, I experience the pain every single day, and that pain, while it hurt, while it's momentary, it's producing a greater good.
Yeah.
And I can see. I look back at old pictures now, and I can see the muscle development.
Yeah.
But I can point back to those times where I was bent over the bench, and I was like, I can't move.
Yeah.
Like my shoulders hurt, and
Yeah.
I can't lift my arms above my head, and blah, blah, blah. And then I go to sleep, I wake up, and then I'm working legs, and I can remember all those times, but it produces something. And I think just to close it out, for those individuals who are caught up in stagnation because you're so doggone deep, it's like, you're like, well, I don't know what God wants me to do. Can I just be honest with you? If you go to the right, he's going to find you. If you go to the left, he's going to find you. If you're like, well, I don't know, does God want me to move to Texas? Move to Texas. It ain't that. It's not rocket science. Or don't move to Texas. Either way it goes, you're going to have a test whichever place you go to. If you stay where you are, it's going to be a test. If you move to Texas, it's going to be a test. So no matter where you go, it's not like God's like, well, you go to move to Texas and I'm not going to be with you. It's not. You have to be deep about it. It's just that if you really sense that and you have the confidence of God saying, hey, this is what I want you to do, just do it. Just do it.
Take the first step. If that's you get on a flight
do it.
and going and driving all over Texas to see where he wants you to.
That's a big state to drive over. You better land somewhere and just pick a spot.
Land in Dallas. Take that 3-hour drive to Houston.
Jesus.
Just go. Just take that step.
You're like, well, what would everybody think about me? Man, screw them people. Screw
we said
them.
that together.
Screw them.
Screw them.
Screw them. And then if you can't say it, tell them I said it. Screenshot do the screen grab of me saying it and send them this. Screw you. That's what it is.
Baby,
What?
Bring it back. Reel it back in.
Screw you. Who cares? Nobody cares what you think. That's why we didn't ask you for your opinion.
All right.
Send that to them. Screen grab that.
Gosh. Okay. Well, all right, guys. We're so happy you tuned in. We're so proud of you for stepping out on faith and loving people and not being afraid to fail.
And not being afraid of what they think, because why? Screw them. All right.
All right.
Introduce us. We out this piece.
Wait, is that what we're going to call it? Screw them?
No, we're not calling it screw them. It's not.